and then we'll record it, and then we'll wait for some people to come into the room. So we're starting to see some people show up here. All right, cool. All right, some familiar faces, familiar names. Awesome. It's interesting as we start to do some of these, Taley, is realtor time, right? So we have like right on time, and then we have the realtor time. So it's fascinating when when we start how more people just start rolling in towards that. So all right, well let's go ahead and get started. I want to be respectful of your time. Everybody, my name is Kyle Harrison, and I'm the MAPS executive coach and the owner of Your Bookkeeping Partner and Launch Bookkeeping. We have a special guest today here, Taley Hunt. And before we dive into Taylor's story and have her share some of the things that are working in what she's doing in her market and in her story, just a quick housekeeping item. This is being recorded. We are looking for this to be more participatory. Uh-oh, Taylor, you went somewhere. We are looking for this to be more participatory. So if you do have questions along the way as we're diving into Taylor's business, please feel free to put them in the chat. We will be monitoring them in the chat as well. And then, of course, after 45, 50 minutes or so that we're diving deep here, we'll just, if you have questions, please feel free to come off mute, ask questions if you like, and we'll go from there. So we do this once a month, so we're really focused on bringing you value. Taley is a well-known, very fast, well-known name in the real estate industry. So we get the opportunity to learn from her today, and so hopefully you'll walk away with some nuggets today from Taley and how she can help you and move forward. So, all right, Taylor, are you ready to dive in?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. Let's just start off. Let's tell us a little bit about who you are and what you are.
Yeah. My name is Taley Hunt. I service the Columbia, South Carolina market, all surrounding cities. A lot of people are here for the University of South Carolina or Fort Jackson or Shaw Air Force Base. So we cover all of those spaces. I'm 28 years old. I am a toddler mom. My daughter is 3 years old and super
Gosh.
sassy. I started my career in real estate at the tail end of 2020, and I closed my first deal February 2021. I moved to South Carolina from North Carolina in 2020 with my husband, who was active duty Army at the time.
Mhm.
And that was kind of all she wrote. I had no intention to ever get into real estate, but I was previously in higher education. And when the pandemic happened, a lot of state budgets were frozen because of
Mhm.
whatever issues arose from that. And so when looking for a job locally, it became really hard because there were a lot of hiring freezes. So I decided to get my real estate license, had no idea what I was getting into. I think if I knew then what I know now, I probably would have not done it because I would have been too scared. But just going in blind was probably the best decision I could have made.
Yeah, I think I just need to unpack that for a second. You've got to move, you had a baby, or you're pregnant at the time, and then move to a brand new area, COVID, and then you decided to get into real estate like in the heat of COVID. So it wasn't even you got into real estate January, you got into real estate the really the heat of COVID, right? The end of 2020, I think you said your first closing was the beginning of 2021.
Correct. Yeah, I found out I was pregnant with my daughter on the day of my real estate exam. So it was a lot. We were getting married, we were buying a house. We just had a lot of stuff going on.
Sounds like it. And then just add to the add. So why real estate though? What drew you to real estate? And yeah, why real estate?
So only because someone recommended it, because someone said, "Hey, I think you should do this. You would be good at this." In my past life, I've always been, very outgoing, talkative. I could talk to a wall. My dad sells life insurance, so that same kind of personality of, you just kind of easily get to know people and draw to them. That's how I've always been. I used to do pageants when I was younger, very
Oh wow.
comfortable with like public speaking. So just having that very outgoing personality, I guess, somebody said, you would be really good at this. And I
Hmm.
had literally no idea what it entailed or what I was getting into. And I said, sure, why not? And
Hmm.
I just went for it.
So let's walk the people who are on here, the people who are going to be watching. Let's just walk this through. Um, so 2020, you moved to a new area, and how many people did you know?
My husband, just
Okay.
one.
All right. Got into a brand new industry, pregnant, moved, bought a house, got all these things going on. What was day one for you? What did day one look like when you got your license,
Yeah.
and what was day one?
So day one was probably a lot of like freaking out because I just found out I was pregnant. So I was
Okay.
like, how in the world am I going to do this? I remember looking for brokerages and then sitting down in my now team leader's office and
Mhm.
saying, like, I just have no idea how I'm going to do this. And I actually had very, very little self-confidence. I just was convinced, like, who is going to hire me? I have no idea. I don't know anything about this area. I don't know anyone in this area. So I just did not have any belief that I'd be able to succeed. And I actually spent the good part of the first 3 months questioning whether or not I would be good at this, like applying for other jobs, trying to figure out if I should do this part-time. And then I got my first lead online in a Facebook group. Someone was asking for an agent recommendation in the Columbia area. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was like, I can help, me, choose me. And the agent sent me the referral and didn't ask me any questions. He just said, here you go. And I said, thank the Lord. And I still talk to him today. So that's how I got my first ever lead. He said, had he known that I had no idea what I was doing, he probably wouldn't have given it to me. But I'm so glad he didn't know.
That's awesome. So the first referral comes in, you're figuring it out. Was it a buyer or was it a seller?
It was a buyer, and they
Okay.
had, I did my buyer consultation with them, also had no idea what I was doing. And they said, so how long have you been in the business? And I was like, oh my God. So I just said, well, I got in the business after I got my master's in business, and that's kind of how it's been ever since.
Sure.
And I thought
Yeah.
that makes me sound pretty legitimate. So they didn't ask any other questions.
Right. That's awesome. And so you helped them. And then so what in your first year in real estate, what did you end up doing?
So I got my second buyer from that couple. That couple sent me another client, and I'm actually selling her house next month. So I, keep double dipping that way. But I ended up selling 28 houses that year for $7.5 million of real estate.
And so that was 2021. Was Columbia still in COVID? Was it still kind of on lockdown during that time, or what was the?
Semi, I mean,
Yeah.
I think
Okay.
we are kind of in an area where half the people wanted to wear masks, half of them
Yeah.
didn't.
Yeah.
And so
Okay.
kind of, we weren't in a situation where we couldn't go into houses though. We could walk into houses and do showings if we needed
Mhm.
to, but there were just still a few precautions happening at the same time.
Got it. So where did the 27 transactions come from that first year?
So my first client sent me to my second one, and
Okay.
then I just kept getting business that way. My clients would send me to their friends, or someone would recommend me online in a
Mm.
Facebook group. Like the few clients I did have would recommend me to people. Agent referrals was a big thing for me. So I realized when I got my first lead, I realized there's opportunity here, right? Like maybe I don't know people locally, but I can use social media to find other agents and
Mm.
become, their friends and get business that way. And so I would say it was like a third of each, third of like social media, people finding me from Instagram or Facebook, past clients recommending me to their friends when they would move, and then agents who would send me business for people that
Okay.
that were coming into my area.
So social media, SOI or database, and then agent to agent referrals. That was right out of the chute, just really right out of the gate for you.
Yeah,
Got it.
it's that way.
Okay. So social media seemed to be pretty big for you because you didn't know anyone in that. What kind of content? What did you put out there? I mean, you were new to the area. You didn't have any friends except maybe military friends. What did you put out there?
I was just doing a lot of education. So I remember at the very beginning, I had no idea what to even educate people on. So I would like Google things, what do home buyers want to know, or like most asked questions, things like that. And I would just go online and answer them. I would create videos or posts that would say things, like this is what to look for in an inspection or whatever the case may be. And so I would post it on Instagram and Facebook every single day. I just created content. And at the time, I had my daughter with me because I didn't have any childcare and she was a newborn. So I would put her down for a nap, go in the other room, create content, and have it scheduled for the rest of the week. And that was kind of how I lead generated. And when people online would say, they were thinking about moving to the area or they had questions, like in different Facebook groups, I would always comment and I would redirect people back to my Instagram and say, I post a lot of informative information here. You should go take a look at it. And so people would, meet me on one platform or the other.
Okay, a couple things. Just I want to unpack what you just said. Just a couple things that I heard in that. Number one is you were very scheduled in putting your daughter down nap time because you knew you only had a short window, correct? So then you said that you would create content for the week. Is that
Yes.
right?
Yeah, because as a new mom, I had a lot of postpartum anxiety and my schedule was very chaotic. I mean, it was all over the place. Who knows what she was going to do or how she was going to feel. So when I would have the opportunity, I would put her down and then I would try to maximize the time that I had to be able to do as much as possible. So I wouldn't put her down and just create one post. I would go batch the content so that I could use it for as long as I could. So I would literally go into a room with 5 different shirts and create 5 different videos and have them saved on my phone so that, later on throughout the week, when I knew I was going to be busier, I would have it ready.
Got it. And so you use Google just really obviously in the beginning to see what really the top search is, what buyers are wanting or what questions that they're wanting. And then you wrapped your content around that in a very short window. And then you really had it scheduled throughout the week.
Correct. And when I started working with clients, I learned very fast what struggles do they have, what questions were they asking me, and then I would turn around and create content out of those questions.
So you're very intuitive, just what was going on around you. Got it. Okay. So you started creating content, you started getting traction. How consistent were you with the social media content?
Very, very for years. I mean, it was every single day because I felt like this is my lead generation. I'm not cold calling, I'm not door knocking, I'm not hosting open houses. If this is my lead generation, then I need to spend hours doing it just like I would if I was at my desk dialing numbers. So
Yeah.
it was all the time.
Also, so you're very intentional. You had a time blocked, right? And so you were very intentional around the content and just pushing it out. And to this day, do you still do that?
Yes, so I
Okay.
still produce content on Facebook and Instagram and even
Okay.
TikTok that
Okay.
brings me agent referrals, buyers and sellers. And a lot of our business at this point, because I did 28 units in year one, but I did 86 in year two. So it's always been really big.
Stop. Say that again.
I did 28 units in year one, I did 86 units in year two.
So
So
tripled your business in year two
yes.
just
Yeah.
by this, essentially this one thing that just this content being
Yeah.
super intentional around it.
Super intentional around content and giving really good client service. So I focused a lot on being a really good real estate agent because I realized that there was an opportunity for referrals from my clients. They knew people that I didn't know. And so if I could do a really good job, it really upped my chances to get more business from them. And that's a free lead source, just like social media. So I worked really hard to focus on those things, and at this point, you have so much past business that business just kind of comes. I mean, you still have to be intentional, but it kind of repeats itself. And
Mhm.
so I still do the same things that I've always done in order to get the same results.
Yeah. You hit on something I think is super important. A lot of agents, they can generate leads or they may be able to generate leads. It's the service aspect of it. So how did you keep up with the leads that were coming in or the agent to agent referrals or like how did you manage that? What was your systems or procedures in that?
Yeah, so year one, I didn't have any. It was very chaotic. But year
Got it.
two,
Okay.
I hired a babysitter as my first business hire, and I had 6 hours a day to be able to
Okay.
work child free. And that was a game changer for me because I recognized, okay, I have 6 hours to be super intentional. Then I
Yeah.
hired a transaction coordinator, and that took a lot off of my plate because I was no longer processing things, scheduling inspections. They were able
Right.
to do those things. It wasn't until the end of year two, year three that I really, really started having a lot of systems and processes in place, but they were all born out of failure, like losing a lead because you're not keeping track of them well enough.
Right. Right.
Or dropping the ball on this transaction and realizing that had you just done things a little bit smarter or slowed down a little bit, you would have been better. So a lot of it is just organization, writing everything down, using your calendar as a to-do list, making sure that you don't forget. But when you're doing as much volume as I do personally, I have to have that leverage. But the first year was, I did more business in my first year in that last quarter than I did in the first 3 quarters combined. So it was really a snowball
Wow.
effect. So by
Mhm.
the end of 2021, my first year, I said, I can't do this alone. I have to have leverage. And so I
Yeah.
hired it.
Yeah, no, that's great. And you know, the interesting thing is in hearing a lot of this, and this seems to be a common theme already early on in today, is just consistency, failing forward, figuring it out, right? And just the other thing too, I pulled out of what you said is you slowed down a little bit and just said, okay, how do I keep the level of service with my clients? What do I need to do? Who's the next hire? You're really
Yeah.
not only in the business, you were able to find time to work on the business. Is that accurate? I just heard that in between the lines in there, what you were saying.
100%. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because if I didn't, and I was the one that thought, like, nobody can help my clients better than I can. I really need to be involved. If it's not me, they're not going to be happy. But it was all very limited beliefs. I knew
Mhm.
I needed help. So I hired childcare, I hired a transaction coordinator, and then I hired an admin. And my admin did some like back end stuff, but also helped me with showings because I only
Okay.
had 6 hours a day. So if I was spending half of that running around doing showings, I wasn't using my time wisely. So
Mhm.
today we have my husband as the director of ops. I have 2 virtual assistants. I have a transaction coordinator in-house and a showing partner.
And that's it.
Yeah, I did bring on an agent partner, a buyer's agent this year,
Okay.
in January. She was a previous showing partner of mine, but administratively wise, that's kind of where we are set up. And now I have this agent. We started a very small but mighty team.
Yeah, it sounds like it. So 27 transactions the first year. Just out of curiosity, what was the splittage between sellers and buyers? Was it really heavy buyers? Was it kind of mixture of both?
One seller.
One seller,
One,
so 26 buyers.
yes. And then the
Wow.
next year I had 24 sellers.
Okay, so about 20, you said 89 deals your second year.
86. So I was at a
86.
25% I guess that would be the math, about 25%
Yeah,
sellers. And then last year was my third year and I did 40 listings out of 145 transactions.
140, so 40 listings. So you're staying around that 25%. However, you hired that's your model, which is a showing assistant. So they show all the houses. Do they
Correct.
handle all the contracts too, or do they bring that buyer back to you for you to negotiate the contracts?
All they do is show property and schedule the showings. They go to inspections, and if they're new construction, they go get updated videos, things like that. But I do the contracts, the negotiations. And one of the goals that we have this year is to get more listing heavy. So currently we're taking anywhere from 4 to 5 listings a month, and the
Okay,
goal is to get to around 8.
got it. And where are you getting those listings from?
Same place I get everywhere else. Agent referrals, listing sign calls, past client referrals, past clients who bought with me, who are selling with me, that kind of
Mhm.
thing.
Got it. Okay, so 86 deals your second year, 27 your first year, and you just finished up year four. Is that correct?
I
Year four in
just
the
finished
business?
up year 3. This is year
Okay.
4.
This is the start of year four. And then what was your transaction count last year? 145?
Yes.
And what are you pacing for this year?
We're currently at 95 pended or sold.
Okay. I can hear people's brains going, how is she having time? Mom, wife, like all business owner. How do you do it?
Leverage. So I leverage my time. We have really solid systems and processes. I do work a lot. I'm not the agent that says I work part-time, like I work a lot. But I am very systematic with my time. So I do what I need to do and I focus on what I need to focus on. I do my one thing. I also run a coaching business, so I kind of split my time, but that's why leverage is so important. So I have an in-house TC who does literally all the paperwork except for I still write my own contracts. So
Okay.
my focus is appointments and lead generating, and then maintaining the client service that we have.
Got it. And someone, do you have like a director of lead gen or somebody who's managing the leads that are coming in? So then you can,
Um,
yeah. How are you?
no.
Because I got to think at 145, you're pended and sold 90. You're just producing a massive amount of leads.
Yes, so any lead so we have a very high conversion rate because our leads are warm, right? Like they're not a ton of cold leads, they're a bunch of warm leads. Most of the time they've come to us and they've decided already to hire us.
Got it.
So
Okay.
if we close 145 units, our lead count is not going to be too terribly higher than that. We have a really solid conversion rate. But anytime I get a lead, I have a system. I get a lead and I send them to my virtual assistant and I have her put them into our database and then I follow up with them accordingly. So part of my routine is 2 or 3 times a week. I'll look over our leads and see who is it that I need to touch base with today to move the needle forward.
Got it. So let's talk a little bit about your schedule because you've got a lot of things coming at you. So what is a typical day for Taley Hunt?
So I have a toddler, so I get up whenever she gets up, like usually between 6:30 and 7, and then she has to be at school at 8:30. So we all kind of get ready together. My husband always takes her to school, and then I start. I do my very best to keep appointments after 12. It doesn't always happen that way, but I really try because if I can have a good morning where I focus on the money making activities, then I feel my whole week goes better. So I like to sit down, look at my database, figure out who is it that I should be talking to, who do I need to touch base with. I get on social media, I engage, I create content. I check in with my current clients at least once a week. Anybody who's under contract with me, I check in with them at least once a week. Sometimes those new construction contracts can go pretty long. So constantly just making sure they're good to go, checking in with our past clients. Are you settled in? How's your move? Blah, blah,
Mhm.
blah, blah. So do a lot of talking and lead gen in the morning. And then I try to keep appointments after 12.
Okay.
So I'm usually done every day, anywhere from like 4 to 5. Sometimes I get done at 3, and those are great days. I go home and hang out with my daughter. So
Yeah. Yeah. You work weekends?
yeah, I work weekends. I don't do like a lot of showings. I don't do open houses. On my listings, we do open houses all the time, but usually it's like my buyer's agent or an agent in the
Okay.
office who wants to do them. Um, if I have to do showings, I do, if we're overwhelmed with people or if somebody's out of town and I need to pick it up, I do. But I do work on weekends. If somebody calls me, I'm going to answer the phone. If I need to write up a contract, I will do that
Got
too.
it.
So I'm flexible.
Yeah. So Monday through Friday, your daughter goes to school around 8:30 and you're getting into the office about, or do you work at an office or you work from home or where do you?
Yeah, I work in my home office, but I also sometimes come to my brokerage's office and I have
Okay.
an office space in there too. I'm
Got it.
usually starting my day, like sitting down at my computer anywhere from 8 o'clock to 9 o'clock. If I want to get a head start, I will wake up in the morning before anybody else does and I'll get things together, like lunch packed,
Mhm.
outfits together, so that my husband can easily get my daughter together and I can go and get things done.
Got it. And what would you say, just so I know it, you know it, just for the audience, you said my money making activities. What
Yeah.
specifically are those?
Creating content, posting it, engaging with people online. I have a Facebook group that I manage for local moms. I host events this is very new, so I host events every month for those moms. So just promoting those and keeping in touch with people, but also really just staying in touch with my database, reaching out to past clients and checking in on them. We have 4 events that we do every year, so planning those and making sure everything's going smoothly for that. So just a lot of database and social media, staying in touch with people and staying top of mind.
Let's do it. Let's do a dive there, a deep dive. Can we do that just on the database SOI? You went from zero, essentially zero, your husband, right? To what you're currently doing. And before we hopped on, before we started, you were about 30% agent to agent referral. You're 50% SOI sphere past clients, and then about that 20 to 25% social media. So 50% is still is your SOI and database. Let's do a deep dive there. What do you specifically do with that?
Yeah, so anybody who's in my database is usually a have met, right? Like I know them in some
Okay.
way, shape, or form. They are warm leads. They're past clients, clients who were clients, but maybe it didn't pan out, or current clients. And so I
Okay.
talk to the majority of people in my database at least 4 times a year, at least. But we do usually a lot more than that because we're sending out newsletters every single week. We are
Okay.
hosting multiple events throughout the year. So a touch for me could be just like a text message that says, how are you guys doing? I was just thinking of you. It can also be a happy birthday. It can also be a happy home anniversary, or a, hey, we're hosting this event, you should come, or we're doing a giveaway, you should come. So I would say, all in all, we are probably talking to the majority of our database over 60, 65 times a year in some way, like newsletters or a text message or something like that. And it's none of it is automated. The only thing that I would say is automated is
Oh,
the
whoa, whoa,
newsletter.
whoa. So none of it is automated. Okay. All right, keep going. Sorry.
The only thing I would say that you could possibly consider automated is the newsletter, right? Because it goes out mass. But the text messages that we're sending, the happy birthday, happy home anniversary, how are you doing? Come to our event. That's all me. So I spend a lot of time. My assistant sends me a list every single Monday. These are the people you need to talk to this week. And I go and text them all and check in on them.
And they send you I'm going to get in the weeds on this just a
Yeah.
smidge, right? I think some people get tripped up on this.
Yeah.
And again, this is success is simple. It's not easy, right? And sometimes it's too simple. They send you a list, just like a Google form or an Excel spreadsheet, or like, how does that
Yeah.
information come to you?
A Google Sheets. So we use the DTD2 method, the doing the database twice. So we
Yeah.
base it off of last name. So every Monday she sends me a sheet, a Google Sheet, like an Excel form that says, here's a list of people you need to talk to. And she also puts their phone numbers beside their name. So it's super easy for me on my MacBook to just copy and paste the phone number and shoot somebody a text message and check in with them. I don't ever call, I just send a text message, and it's very simple. My tagline is, whatever you would say to them if you randomly saw them in the grocery store. Hey, how are you guys? How's the kids? You settling in good?
Got it. Okay. So
Very
very simple,
simple.
just as like you saw in the grocery store, just you're just sending them via text.
Correct.
Got it. And so are you putting notes in there, what you're saying, so then your VA can update the database, or what are you doing with that information?
No, I'm not. I'm terrible about it. I just send a text and keep it moving, but I know I'm doing it. So anytime I reach
Yeah.
out to someone, I highlight their name as green on that list. So that way I can see, okay, yes, I did talk to these people this week, and I can go back and, I did at least text them. Sometimes people don't respond, but I still reach out. And then if there's anybody on the list that I don't want to talk to, I will highlight them orange so that she'll take them out and I won't have to do that again.
Ah, okay. So yeah, that's awesome. How many people in your database?
Probably about 1,800.
Okay, 1,800. And these are would you classify as Mets, right? You've either had a conversation with a past client or something of that nature.
Yeah.
Got it.
And
Oh, go ahead. Keep going.
some of them might be real estate agents, who have like submitted their information on our website for referral partnerships or whatever, but the majority of them are past clients, potential clients.
Okay. Do you qualify them like A pluses, A's and B's, or do you just treat all 1,800 the same? How do you,
Yeah.
that seems to be a pretty big elephant, right? So it's just, how do you systematize that?
So we just started doing that this year. I actually tagged a handful of them with the tag VIP because we're hosting an event tomorrow, actually, where we're inviting like our favorite people out, the people who have used us multiple times, the people who have referred us multiple times. We reserved like 100 tickets at a local baseball game and invited them all out for dinner and baseball. And so I want to say there's probably about 75 of those people, including like their kids and stuff like that, that will be there.
Yeah,
But probably maybe like 50 families that we're going, to keep in touch with a little bit more. So that's what we've started implementing, is like
got it.
one big event a year for our VIPs that's a little bit different than what we do for everybody else.
Got it. And I heard 12 events. Is it 12 events a year? Is that what
No,
you're,
it's four. It's four
it's
events a
for? Okay.
year, one each
For.
quarter. This year we'll probably do a little bit more, and a lot of people always ask what kind of events. So in January we did a vision board event where we invited some people out to create their vision boards for the year. We did an Easter egg hunt in March. We always do Easter egg hunts. We'll do a fall fun day this fall. We will rent out a movie theater and invite our database and the community to come out and watch a movie on us, and then Santa Claus photos in December.
And does all 1,800 get the invite?
Yep, they always do.
And how many
Yep.
people are
We send out
typically
a
showing up?
mass. We send out a mass email, but I also use it as like if I'm doing my DTD2 and I need something to talk to people about, I'll shoot them a text and say, don't forget to RSVP for this.
So is the majority of your communication with your database via text?
Hmm.
Got it. So just
Yeah,
because
I'm
you
not
can get
calling people.
that. What's that?
Yeah, I'm not calling people.
Really? You
Everybody's
never pick up?
busy. No, everybody's so busy. I'm so busy. They don't really want to talk to me on a phone call. So I just shoot them a text and check in. And I don't think it matters much what you say or how you say it. It's just the thought that you haven't forgotten about them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a top of mind awareness, right? TOMA, TOMA. It's just that it's just that touch. And I think people get so wrapped up in not hearing from them. Oh, they must not like me. And then the stories start to happen. What I'm hearing, what you're saying is that it's just a system, like it's a process. Whether you hear from them or not, you're moving on. It's just keeping your name in front of them that you're thinking about them.
Yes, I recently got a Google review that said something to the effect of Taley Hunt is the best real estate agent ever that I'm like something that I'm working with or something. And she said, I say that I'm working with because even though we closed a year ago, she has not stopped talking to me. Like she has stayed involved the entire time. And so sometimes people will write reviews like on Facebook groups about me and they'll say, we closed on this property a year and a half ago and we have like Taylor has never forgotten about us. It's the little
Wow.
things. I met a client. I posted something on Facebook the other day. My client commented on it and she seemed a little sad. And I just so happened to be in Target. And when I saw her, I said, is everything going okay? You know, I saw your Facebook post. And she told me that her mom got diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. And so I left there and I ordered a $250 gift card to a nearby amusement park. And I put it in an envelope and I wrote her a note and I said, I know life is hard. Like, I hope you and your family can just go take your mind off of things. And she wrote a big post on Facebook and said, we closed 2 years ago and she still does things like this. And so we really just try to be present. I have another client who's about to leave and she's renting her house out, but her dog passed away. And I saw it on Facebook, so I ordered a car air freshener that was a photo of her and her dog. And she's becoming a mom. And so I'm like, send me your registry. So we just stay involved, like, how are things going? How's your family? Oh, you're pregnant? Send me your registry. Please let me help you, whatever we can do.
Yeah. I love that, Taylor. Thanks for sharing that because people don't care what you know until they know that you care, and
Yes.
you're spending that 3 hours every day just loving on your people, your social media, your texting, like it's the consistency, and I think some of that too is even though you're not picking up the phone and calling them, they're seeing you throughout the community, right? So
Yep.
I absolutely love that. Let's do a deep dive into specific. You've got a mom group, right?
Yes.
So tell me a
Yeah.
little bit about tell the audience here a little bit about the mom group. How did that come? And yeah, well, tell us a little bit about what you did there.
So I kind of blew up a little bit on Instagram with real estate agents following me. They were, just curious about how are you selling so many houses without paying for leads? What are you doing? And I realized that the majority of the people who were following me were moms in real estate. And I think it's because of my story. I spent the whole first year, no childcare in a new state. And I think a lot of people just get kind of inspired. And so I really wanted to create a space for moms in real estate to feel empowered and like push towards their goals, but also give them the education and tools that they need to succeed. So I started a coaching program called Momward, Moving Moms Forward in Real Estate. And we meet every week on a recorded Zoom, and I teach them a new topic every single week. Or I have a guest speaker who comes on and teaches them. And then we have a private Facebook group for members, and they exchange referrals. It just really gives a place for community support and education specifically designed to help moms in real estate. It's like my passion project.
There's so much behind this. So you said moms in real estate. These are moms who are selling real estate throughout the country.
Correct. Yeah. Really throughout
Got
the
it.
world. We have people in other countries too. It's pretty cool.
Yeah. So not only are you serving the moms in real estate and helping them really build a life by design with their family, you're also helping the communities that they serve in their communities because of what you're teaching, right? So it's just it's a big domino effect on that. So how many people do you have right now in your world, this mom group?
We fluctuate, and it is usually right around 135 moms.
Okay, so very tight knit group. Do you see them at events? I mean, do you get together and do events with them, or is it
No, so
anything specific like
I
that yet?
launched it. I launched it in October. Whenever we went to KW Family Reunion in February, there were a lot of them, and we all got together and took a photo, and that was pretty cool. But I've not done anything in person. They ask me all the time, we should get together and do something in person. It's a subscription model, so they pay a monthly fee to do it. It's very inexpensive. It's like $97 a month.
Yeah.
But a lot of them are getting referrals from the connections that they make. And then I just had someone post in the private Facebook group yesterday and said that since she's joined, she's gotten 5 new clients under contract and she has 2 listing appointments next week from all the things that we've taught her. I have another mom that says she's already made 100 grand this year from things that she's learned. And so it is just really awesome. I would love to do something in person with them. I've got to find the time to figure that out.
Yeah, you definitely do that. So that's the mom group that now do you lead that group or is there moms within the group that start to help lead the group as well? And do you lead the chat? I mean, what do you do in
So
that
I
group?
lead the group. I lead the group.
Yeah,
I am everybody's coach, I guess is what they would call me, their
got it.
mentor. And I'm the one who puts everything together. So every session that we have, I'm the one
Yeah,
organizing that.
yeah,
We have this private Facebook group that I'm kind of active in, but it's really just for them to like communicate, ask each other for advice, and have some community. But mostly it's just me putting all the things together, showing up on Thursdays, teaching them, pouring into them. At least once a month, we do what I call a question and answer session where I just kind of hop on the Zoom and they put all their questions in the chat box and I just, rapid fire them off. And they love that because they
yeah.
really get to pick my brain. So 30 minutes a week of coaching, 2 hours a month, and they're all recorded. So they get to go back and watch them, which is pretty cool too.
Got it. Now you may have said that and I might have just missed it. How did you see the niche for this? What was that again?
Because a lot of moms in real estate were following me, and
Got it. Okay,
and
that's right.
I would talk about my journey online, I would say, here's my daughter shotgunning it to showings with me today, or look at my kid sitting on the floor of this house during an inspection. And so I was very open with like, this is hard, but somehow we're making it work. And so I think people just kind of saw it as an inspiration. And then I would get a lot of inquiries from people, especially moms that were like, how are you doing this? I would love to learn from you. So I said, what better way than to just put some moms together and empower them to grow?
I love that. So how is life right now? You're on pace for essentially 200 transactions. What does the future of your business look like?
I don't know. Life is good. I am very blessed. Money is only good for what it does for you and other people. So we're able to do a lot of um giving. We are able to donate quite a bit, get a little bit more involved in our community, build wealth personally, which is always fun. For my business, I'm really trying to focus on listings. So I'm still working with buyers, but putting a lot of effort into how can we strategically find sellers so that I can really focus on that and leverage my time and build out a business that way. I don't have any intention to grow big. I'm totally okay with being small and mighty. It's a headache to manage a bunch of people, and I don't want to do that. So, um, totally okay
Love
with
that.
where we are. We'll see where we are in 5 years. I have a dream to move to Disney World, so we'll see what that looks like.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So anybody who's newer on here or just listening on this, what would you say the first step? What advice would you give them today if just based off of what we've unpacked with you today, just on your business, your life, moving forward, and what the future may hold with you? What would you say to them today as maybe a first step or just a piece of advice?
Yeah, I think most new agents should probably get out of their head. I think a lot of people really struggle with this analysis paralysis, like what should I be doing? Who should I be talking to? And they get so overwhelmed with that that they just kind of freeze and they don't really move forward or backward or anything like that. I think
Yeah.
it's really important to have mentorship and training and education and to be in rooms with people that you want to be like because it just innately empowers you to go after it.
Mhm.
And I'm a really big proponent of the grind, like it's hard. Push yourself, work really hard for a few years, and it will absolutely pay off. I think there's a lot of people who just want it to be easy or kind of expect it to be easy, and it's not. The reality is that if you want to have a really successful career that succeeds in market shifts and changes and
Yeah.
things like that, you have to be willing to put in the work. I spent 3 years like working 60-hour weeks, if not more. When my
Right.
baby was asleep, I would wake up earlier. I just did what I had to do. And now I don't have to do that much anymore because I spent so long working really, really hard. If you work hard now, it will pay off later.
Yeah. I hear intentionality behind that just with your schedule, especially when the small time that you had.
Yeah.
Also here, do the hard work now, the life gets easier. I think if you embrace I love David Goggins, embrace the suck, right? Embrace the hard, embrace the thing. The life does get easier. If you choose easier now, life will continue to be harder, And so what you're saying is just that you just head down focused and really were super intentional around that and and
Yes,
and
it's
really who your
discipline.
audience was, right? I mean, you got super clear on your niche,
Yeah.
right? This is what you love, this is what you're great at, and you don't cold call, right?
No, no,
Okay.
I would get out of the business if I had to do that. I think it's about discipline, right? Like figuring
Yeah.
out what you want, who you want to work with, going after that. What's more important, what you want today or what you want in the long run? My goal is in 5 years to be optional. If I want to work, I can. If I don't want to work, I don't have to be able to have the autonomy to choose because we've been financially smart. And so I'm okay with working really hard today if in 5 years it gets me where I want to be.
Yeah, and that's in my coaching niche. It's the 5-year option strategy, right? It's to be out of the business so you have the option to whether you want to sell another house or go drink mai tais on beaches if you want to do that, right?
Exactly.
So
Yep.
it's the option strategy, and you just nailed it. Is this business provides such a great income, right? As long as you're working hard, smart, intentionally, and really understand your lane and then really have a plan. Like, what's the exit plan or the option plan to be able to do that? How are you doing with that 5-year plan, that 5-year strategy right now, just out of curiosity?
Good. We're good. So my whole life has changed. Before I got into real estate, I made $37,000 a year. I was making like 2 grand a month at the most, and after taxes. And now I consistently bring in a GCI of over 80 grand a month, usually a little bit more. Last year my GCI was 1.2 million, and we are being really intentional about the money. So we're investing it, we're saving it, we're doing all the things that we need to do. Um, Investing in education and coaches who are helping us get there. So
Right.
just being really very intentional about everything we're doing. I went from in debt, making $37,000 a year, quitting my job, making no money to, me and my husband are millionaires now. And it is
Yeah.
just insane, but it was not easy. It was a lot of discipline and a lot of hard work, and it has absolutely paid off.
And now you're tracking your P&L, correct?
100% every month. Yep, every month. Thanks to you guys. You're awesome.
Sorry, I had to throw that in there. And I always say, if you want to grow your money, you got to know it, right? I mean, you can make all the money in the world. However, if you don't know it, you don't have a relationship with it and really understand what you're doing with it and where you're going with it, you just show up and you just show up. And I think the other thing too is, people don't get burned out by what they do. They get burned out because they forget why they do it. And that 5-year
Yes.
strategy is that, right?
Yes, which is a great point because when I started the year, like for the past 3 years, I've always said this is my goal, and it was always units, right? And when I started the year, I said I want to sell 200 houses. I want our team to sell 200 houses, and I started getting so burnt out. Like, why are we even trying to do this? And then I realized like it doesn't matter if I sell 200 houses, what are we making? How much money are we making? Is it getting us to where we want to be? So we analyze like how much do we spend? How much do we need to keep? How much do we need to be able to get to where we want to go? And we realize we really only need to keep this much money to be able to get to where we want to be. And that actually looks more like 160 units instead of 200. So I was stressing myself out for
That's
what?
right. That's
Knowing your
right.
numbers gives you the clarity that you need to be able to build a business out of purpose. And then I've also realized that when you're driven by purpose and a plan, you don't have that comparison. Like it doesn't matter if somebody else is doing more than you because you're doing what you're doing for a reason.
You just warmed my heart on that. That's so spot on, right? So let me ask you, slowing down, figuring that piece out, was it easy?
No, I have anxiety really bad because I've spent the past 3 years in this hustle, hustle, hustle
That's right.
mindset. And so it is very hard for me. Like I think back last year in June, I put under contract 24 houses in the month of June last year. Well, this year I have slowed down significantly because I've brought on an agent. So I'm really building a business. We're focusing on the back end. So we're doing a lot of that internal growth.
Yeah.
And so it is hard for me when I compare, like, where am I at right now compared to where I was last year? But I have to remind myself that I'm growing in other ways, right? Like our profit is growing. It's in quarter 1 of this year, we had more net profit than we did gross profit last year, quarter 1. So we have totally flipped the switch. We have profit goals now, and I feel proud of that. Like I feel like we're running a business and not a hobby. We're not just slinging houses. We are really moving with intention. And so it is hard. We are still doing just as much business as we did last year, but it
Right.
just looks a little bit different. And it's not just me, it's also like an agent. And so
Right.
that's hard when you're totally ingrained in this is what success looks like. So then when you start to slow down, you feel like, am I doing enough? But you kind of have to remember that it's okay to slow down if it ultimately gets you where you need to be. It's a mental thing. It really is tough, but it's worth it.
So what was the mental switch for you as the grind, the in the business? Because what you're really talking about is on the business, right? Just being super
Yeah.
intentional where you're going and why, right? So when did it start to really click for you? Like, hey, maybe we need to be focusing on profit. Like, let's look at like, when did that switch happen for you?
Well, I never ever want to sell 145 units by myself again. It was
Yeah,
absolutely
that's a
exhausting. I
lot.
never want to do that.
That's a lot.
But
Yeah.
it was when I was spending like an hour a day tracking our numbers and figuring out, are we behind? Are we ahead? Like, and then I realized I have no knowledge of like the monetary value of this. It doesn't, like I'm over here stressing out about can we just close another deal? But then I'm not like even if that's just a $2,000 payout, should I really be focusing about that or should I be focusing on something that's going to make us more money? So it was the burnout. It was
Mhm.
pushing towards a goal that had no purpose and realizing that I'm happier without that pressure. And
Mhm.
so just choosing peace of mind and happiness instead of like stress.
Yeah. I love that. I love that just vulnerability. Thank you for that. Right. I
Yeah.
mean, you're obviously selling a lot of houses, things on the surface, it's like, wow, she's really successful. And in the time, there's burnout behind that, not knowing your money as well. And then you just slow down and really flip that switch. And I call it going from the realtor to the CEO. I mean, yeah, you're
Yes.
still in it, you still have to produce. And are you slowing enough down to really understanding your money? Because if you want to grow it, you got to know it, right? I mean, it sounds simple. And what was your financial background before, say, the last 6 months to a year?
I mean, I had a bookkeeper and a CPA, but they were not experienced, in my opinion, in the real estate space.
Right,
And so I hired my first ever MAPS coach, and they said, you've got to get a bookkeeper that knows
that's right.
your career. And so we hired you guys, and that was so helpful. We got our end of year, like, because there was a lot of backtracking that had to be
Sure.
done. So I think
Yeah.
we got our end of year in like January of this year, and we analyzed it. And I was like, Jesus, I could have saved a lot more money if I wasn't spending money on stupid crap. And so then we got really intentional. I hired my second MAPS coach, and it was okay. how do we shift this? And so now my husband and I, he has a math degree and he was a finance officer in the army.
Okay.
So he's like
Wow.
that brainy type of person.
So
So
that's
we
his love
sit down.
language is that, right?
Yeah, he
That's
loves
awesome.
it. He was the perfect fit. So we sit
Cool.
down every month and analyze where we are and are we hitting our profit goals and what do we need to cut. And so prior to it was just a hot ass mess, but today it looks a lot better.
Well, and I think, and I love this story because, obviously just a fascinating story from 2020 all the way up to today and how you've evolved and how you've gotten super close on you're just super focused on the niche. And then the money comes in, right? Now it's the financial side and now it's working that next phase to the option and just leaning into that. My guess is when you first started this journey of understanding your profit and really understanding your money, it's probably really uncomfortable. You just didn't know it. However, you just leaned into it. And of course, with just your husband's background, you started to say, "Hey, I am a business owner, and gosh, if we just move a few things here, we're going to be so much more profitable." So it's working harder, or excuse me, it's working smarter, not harder.
Correct. Absolutely. Yeah, it was a
Yeah,
game changer for us.
and I think honestly too, Taley, and thank you so much. This is more than my heart for today, and just you spilling, your story here is. I think a lot of people are in the pursuit of more when in reality they should just be in the pursuit of better,
Yeah,
right?
I would absolutely. I was just at Gary Keller's mastermind and he said a lot of people are pursuing a org chart and not an income. And it was like all these, I think there's a lot of agents out there that say, I want to start a team, I want to be big, I want to do this, when they really don't realize how unprofitable it can be. And I don't even know if that's a word, but it's just
It is.
not.
Yeah.
So yeah, so and to me that really aligns because you want more, you want to be bigger, but you have no idea what that looks like. So when I coach agents, they'll come to me and say, I really want to start a team. And I'll say, I just referred somebody to you guys actually 2 weeks ago. She came to me and she
Thank
said,
you.
I really want to start a team. And I
Mhm.
said, okay, so how much money are you bringing in? She had no idea. And I said, how much money are you spending? She had no idea. And I said, before you start to hire anybody, you better get your books together because next thing you know, you're going to be bringing people in and you're going to be losing money and you don't even realize that. And so I think she's hiring you guys. And that gave her a lot of clarity. She was like, I really don't need what I think I need.
Exactly. And just starting off with the right habits and just start to understand it. There's a business side to this and there's a personal side, right? You can make all the money in the world. However, if your lifestyle is eating that
Yeah,
money, you're never going to get ahead. And it's a constant challenge because the more money you make, usually people's lifestyles go with it. Right now,
right.
it's more money. If you can keep your lifestyle here, then that gap starts to grow. Then that's the investment side of things. Right. So anyway, sorry to
Yes.
go down this rabbit hole of financials because you've obviously built a successful business. You're continuing to build a successful business, and you seem to be in the sweet spot, just kind of where you're at financially, and now you're on to the 5-year goal, for that. So awesome,
Yep.
awesome. Any other things that maybe I haven't asked you today, Taley, or asked you today that might be important for our viewers or our listeners today?
I don't think so. I think we covered all of it. I'm just a very big advocate of working hard and being smart and being driven. I think there's a lot of people who could do better, and a lot of people out there that are probably doing a lot more in a better way than what maybe somebody on this call is doing when they are just as capable. I think it's a lot of, let's get rid of excuses, just work really hard, get to where we want to be, and then you will find that you reach the success that you want to.
I love that. How can our viewers find you if they have questions or find the mom group that you're a part of or that you've created? Is there, yeah, how do they find you?
So my Instagram is just my name, Taley Hunt. You can find me there. I am active all the time.
Awesome. Okay. Any other areas you want to, you're pushing them to the Instagram. I love it. That's good.
Instagram, that's where you would find me. Like if you wanted to send me a referral or if you
Yeah.
wanted to talk to me about anything, that's just basically where I operate. I have a website too, taleyhunt.com, but my Instagram is where I'm most active.
Got it. Okay. Let's just open it up to our viewers here. If you want to ask some questions for Taley or for myself, let's just open it up here. We'll give a few minutes. If you want to come off mute and just ask it, more than welcome to do that. So we'll give it I don't know, 10, 15 seconds or so. And if we don't hear anything, then we'll start to wrap things up here. So.
If we don't hear anything, that just means you did a really good interview. Very
No, you
thorough.
just gave a lot of great information, and I took notes over here. Just wow, yeah, you nailed it today. So thank you for that.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. So anybody have questions for Taley or for myself? Q&A. Please share your Facebook group again. Do you have
So
that?
yeah, so my Facebook group is actually a private group. It's for anybody who's a part of my mom's coaching group, but you can shoot me a DM on Instagram, at Taley Hunt, and I can give you the spiel and explain how all of that works.
Awesome. Yeah, great. Okay, got that question. Anybody else? Nope. Okay. It sounds like they can find you. And of course, they can find me wherever that is. I just want to say we love Taley and are so proud of her. Tammy Davis. I love it.
Yeah. She's in my office. Her office is right across the hall from
Oh,
mine.
good. Awesome. She's on here. That's cool. Well, Taylor, it truly is an honor and a pleasure to get to know you today. And thank you so much for taking the time to really pour into our group. And I just love your passion for people. I love your passion for business. And obviously you bring a great energy to the room. So thank you so much. And if there's everything that we can be of service to you, please feel free to reach out. Okay.
Of course. Thank you
All
guys.
right.
I hope you have a
Thank you
great
so
day.
much. Appreciate it. Have a great day, everybody. Talk to you soon.